where we left off, we had just finished and glued up the conductive plates on our actual spinning conductive plate part. You'll see that the glue is dry. Keep in mind that the glue that is uncovered is going to dry faster than the glue that is covered, and we want to make sure the glue that is covered is dry too. So I actually left these out overnight, but you certainly could have started working on another part while you waited for this. So without further ado, let's jump into the next part I'd like to talk about, and that is the actual discharge spheres. With the discharge sphere, something that you'll notice is that there is a hole in the bottom, in the sides, and a kind of trench going up and around the sphere itself. What we're going to do is effectively run the thin, I think the 24 gauge wire up through the hole, out one of these holes, around and back down. And then we'll cut it afterward. That way we can make sure it's the right size. So the way I like to do this is I like to bend the end a little bit. See, I've got a little bit of an end here. That way I can get it to start coming out that hole. And if you need a little bit more of a bend, go ahead and do that. There we go. So now I've got it out the hole, and I'm going to pull it through. I'm going to give myself a decent amount of space, and probably adjust this as I go. I'm going to press it down into the trench and make sure that I actually have enough to go around. Our goal is going to be to go around, back down and out, and then have enough left to be able to tuck it back in. So this is actually not quite going to be enough. Let me go a little further, maybe another centimeter or two. Let's try that. And remember, the more wiggle room you give yourself with the length of wire here, the more luck you'll have with this part. And that seems about good. So let me run this around the outside. Again, we need it to be curved a little bit. Let's stick it back in. Go out through the bottom. It honestly might be easier to just overshoot it entirely and then wrap it afterward. Let me try that. Let's see. And this part is going to take a little bit of trial and error. So you might need to be a little patient with it. That's okay though. There we go. I'm just feeding it out through here. And we see that we're back down. I'm going to grab my pliers and use that to help me pull a little bit. And go maybe this far out the bottom. And then lay it down flat. Have it go around here and then pull this so that it lays down flat up top here as well. Alright. Very nice. This is about what we're going to want. I'm going to start off, or I'm going to tape this down before I actually cut it, just so I am happy with the measurements I've got. So let me grab my scalpel for cutting purposes and my electrical tape. Here we go. I really don't need to be able to go that many times around, but so it's not a particularly long piece. And we'll be taping it again later once we get the foil on to make these discharge spheres conductive. I'm going to throw this on around here. There we go. Okay. So now I'm going to use my wire cutters to cut this part off. All right. Awesome. And then we're going to do that again. So let's see if we can't learn from the changes that we made to the first one. So I'm going to curve it a little bit more aggressively, and then we're going to overshoot it. There we go. Down and out. And we'll overshoot it, and then we'll pull it back to correct it. There we go. Not quite. Remember, be patient with this. Feel yourself getting frustrated, maybe take a second, step back, retry it in a bit. Being a teacher, I have more patience than the average person, but still not that much. So sometimes I'll have one of these projects and I'll just take it and walk away for a minute. Okay, I overshot it way too much. Let's pull back out a little bit. All right, that looks about good. Remember, we're going vibes here. This doesn't need to be perfect. All right, so I've got that. I'm going to fold it down. Have this going here. Pull the long end so that fits down in the trench. The idea of the trench is to make sure that there is enough conductive contact with these wires as possible. All right, and then a little cut, and so I'm happy with it. And cool. Now we've got 2 conductive spheres. We're going to add foil to it to make them discharge a little better, or make them a little bit more conductive on a little more surface area. I am going to throw some tape down on this one, and then we'll start covering it. All right, there's my tape. I don't know if this is enough tape to go around. Oh, it is. Great. All right, so now I've got 2 taped up spheres that are pretty well secure. Awesome. All right, so next up we need to cover them with foil. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to get myself, and this part doesn't need to be perfect, although the more flat you're able to get the foil, the less accidental discharge you'll get. So I just got myself, I don't know, maybe 6, how many inches is that? 3 to 10, so 7 inches of foil. I'm gonna cut it in half. This would be an easy thing to do with scissors. I'm going to take one of these. It doesn't need to actually be 7 inches of foil. Less is plenty. And I'm going to fold it over the top, taking care to go slow and press as I'm going. And I want to go slow so I don't accidentally rip it. Be careful with your nails. If you've got long nails or like acrylic nails, you may want to go especially slow with this because you're going to need to be careful. Alright, I'm going to keep tamping this down. Just keep going and going. Eventually it'll fold onto itself, and that's okay. We'll try and smooth it out a little bit more later. I find that it is far and away easiest to go top to bottom. Well, the top here to the bottom. That way it'll fall off less. But again, go slow, and if you find yourself getting frustrated, take a break, come back later. Alright, now this is probably the one part of this project that scissors are actually better for. What I'm going to do, I mean, I could just keep wrapping this. Actually, I might just do that, yeah. And then I won't need scissors at all. Keep in mind, aluminum foil, as with most metals, will get a little brittle as you fold and unfold it. So once you've got this like all folded out, if you're kind of doing what I'm doing like this, you may pull and tear it, and that's okay. If it tears, just restart. Take your time. Don't get frustrated. It's a-okay. So see, I've got a little extra foil on here. There are other projects that we'll do where you want to make sure that the foil doesn't go all the way down to the bottom. With this, it's kind of fine if it does. That being said, I've got a little extra foil here, so I'm going to take some scissors. Where are my scissors? Take some scissors. I may have broke these scissors yesterday trying to deal with some plants, but oh, they're working just fine. And I'm going to just cut off the extra. All right. Then what I'm going to do is grab some more tape and tape around the bottom here so this doesn't have any risk of coming up. This is one of the few times I'm not going to pre-cut my tape because I don't know how much I'm going to need, and I don't know how high I'm going to want to go. So let's start on the bottom here, go around Awesome. And then I'll go up a little higher. I've got it twisting on a bit of an angle, so it can go up higher. Awesome. And then I can go as high as I want. With some of the other projects we do, like the Leyden jar, you may want to go all the way up to the top. With this, actually more of the sphere being available is a little better. So I'm just gonna go barely up the bottom, but just enough to cover the bottom sharp bits. And I'm gonna be, now that I've got this done, I'm gonna be careful not to ruin it. I'm pretty happy with how this one turned out, although I wish it wasn't as bulky right there, but that's okay. Eventually I'll make a jig so that we can cut these to be exactly the right size and have them fit over nicely. That might be a nice project for today. But anyway, so this is one of our discharge spheres. One of the last things to do is fold these bits back in. This is going to be really tough to do, so if you can't get it, that's a-okay. That's not going to be a big deal. But so I'm going to fold it up, and then I'm going to take my pliers and slowly work it back in. I'm going to do the same with this side. And the goal here is to make it so that there is a nice, tight, conductive fit when we thread in some of the thicker wire. And we can test that by taking some of the thicker wire. Here's my thicker wire. And feeding it into here and making sure it can fit and that it's a tight fit. There. Very nice. Okay. See, it's still sticking out the bottom a little bit, and that's a-okay. If I want to push it in, I can. But you certainly don't need to. But there you go. That's one of the discharge spheres. Let's get the other one just for the sake of, I guess, completion. Right. Looks like I used the matte side for it, not the shiny side, so I'm going to do that again. Again, I don't think it matters, but someone who knows more about electronics can tell me that, oh, it actually does. This time I went all the way from top to bottom here, because I think that'll help. And then I'm going to add perpendicular to the fold I just made, try and go here. I feel like I've tried this method of doing it before, and I ended up tearing it, but I don't remember well enough, so I don't know if that's a mistake. All right, and then to get off the extra, so now I've got 2 bits sticking out. To get off the extra, I'm going to take my scissors and chop, and chop, and chop. Remember, you can always fold it down if there's too much, so try not to cut off more than you need. I feel like there's a part I tore, yeah, right there. So I'm going to fold that down so that the tear is on the inside. This is kind of working. But in the end, something being okay is plenty fine for this. You can always cover up extra sharp edges with tape. All right, let's get that folded down a little bit. I don't really like that I've got some seams sticking out, so maybe this isn't going to be the best method. I'm going to cut off this extra bit here. There we go. Although I feel like the base here is a little bit more uniform. All right, I'm going to tape this up, and then we'll fold this in, and then we'll be done with this part. I think by far this is the part that can lead to the most frustration. I definitely think it's much harder to do the conductive plates, but this is the part that I feel like will lead to the most frustration and the most need to retry it, and that's okay. If you need to redo it, remember, aluminum foil and electrical tape are extremely cheap. There's a reason why we use them for everything. Alright, great. There's my extra bits. I'll toss those after I'm done with this. And then let's fold these back in. Feel free to use your pliers. It's always good practice to get practice using the tools of the trade like pliers and stuff. It's difficult to build that muscle memory that of using tools like that and pliers. So use them as often as possible. Okay, I'm going to test this out. Make sure this fits in well. Fits in just fine. Perfect. And we're good. All right, so now I've got my 2 discharge spheres.